Welcome to my summary of learning for EDL828, Leadership for Inclusive Education. I will be your guide through my mosaic and journey of learning I have experienced through this course. This journey will focus on my understanding of leadership for inclusive education, my choice of approach for inclusive leadership, my uncomfortable learnings, and my areas of future growth toward inclusion. I felt I walked into this class with some experience in my back pocket and pieces to add to a mosaic of inclusion. Throughout my teaching career, I have had opportunities to co-teach in an ESL classroom, and I'm currently the learning support teacher in my K-12 school. Within these roles, and with the many students crossing the threshold of my classroom doorway, I work on embracing the principles of inclusion as part of my teaching philosophy. However, within my LST role, I still feel a lonely existence. I often find the work of inclusion falling on my shoulders, in part because of the LST role that has long been established within my school. I also see and partake in the ineffective use of EAs within the classroom, which still focuses on mainly one-to-one instruction and pull-out support. As an LST, I experience frustration that we are not all at the same places. We support the ideas of inclusion but come up against walls when it comes to planning and implementing inclusion within the classroom. There aren't enough supports or resources. It is too difficult to meet the needs of some students without sacrificing the needs of others, or there isn't enough time. So where has this course taken me on my journey along my path of understanding leadership for inclusion? Well, this course has given me an opportunity to see inclusion from the other side of leadership. Often we don't have the chance to see the intricacies and complexities of leadership from an administrator's role. Through the lens of leadership, this course has opened my eyes to some of the decisions that have been made by my own principal and given me a better understanding of why and how those decisions were made. As the quote on this slide says, there are no shortcuts, easy or quick fixes, or set solutions to creating inclusion within a school. It takes hard work, commitment, time, persistence, nudging, and sometimes difficult decisions and requests. I have also come to better understand that, like students, staff come at inclusion from different entry points in terms of experience and attitudes toward inclusion. These entry points impact those decisions and requests made by administrators and leaders. And if there is anything this course has taught me, it is that having a vision toward inclusiveness and strong leadership to back it up and guide it is necessary. I think one of the quotes that has stuck with me time and again during this course is Costin and Theo Harris referring to inclusion as a mosaic and the supporting adults as tiles. This quote has come to resonate with what I believe has become the cornerstones of leadership approach I am trying to use now in my current role as LST and in a possible future role as an administrator. Through their quote, Costin and Theo Harris recognize the vital role of leadership in supporting all those involved to ensure inclusion is part of the foundation of a school culture. Each staff member and each student is a different tile within the mosaic. One is not more important than the other, as all staff and student tiles are necessary to create a whole. Like a mosaic, inclusion requires planning and designing for the intricate pieces to fit together harmoniously. Like the tiles of a mosaic, all need to be molded, shaped, and placed, sometimes gently, into the mosaic of inclusion. In keeping up with the idea of inclusion as a mosaic and the adults as tiles, I feel a leadership approach which values and incorporates collaboration and relationship and people building is key in fitting the tiles of the inclusion mosaic together. This then leads to school environments that are transformative in an ongoing state of reflection and adjustment and having the ability to sustain the principles of inclusion within their school culture. Collaboration was an enduring theme throughout this course. From our readings to our group work and writing of the leadership plan, collaboration became a focal point of my understanding of leadership for inclusive education. It became clear from the beginning that collaboration was and should be a cornerstone for every educator and administrator when implementing and moving in the direction of inclusive education within a school. In my experience, teaching can be lonely. However, when leaders set expectations of collaboration, bring people together, invest in a team approach, and recognize that everyone has something to contribute, this creates a collective efficacy and a collaborative culture. Within this culture, everyone shares ideas, practices, and resources, problem solves, and creates a collective agency that supports all involved in bringing inclusion into a learning environment. An inclusion mosaic is composed of many different and unique human tiles, and the ultimate result of bringing these tiles together through collaboration is the success and growth of all students in our classrooms. We talk about building relationships with students, but throughout this course I have come to believe that it is just as important for leadership to build relationships with their staff. The principal in Hoppe and McCluskey's study referred to this as lubricating the human machinery. Building sustaining relationships creates a nurturing community that trusts, supports, listens, and takes care of each other. According to Edmonds and Macmillan, trust is a key element in building a collaborative culture. This trust and collaborative culture helps staff solve problems and becomes the glue that binds the tiles of the inclusion mosaic together, which is needed when planning and creating an inclusive school and teachers doing their very best work for their students' success. Along with the theme of collaboration, I feel that support has also been at the center of leadership for inclusive education. Although teachers and staff may agree to the ideas of inclusive education, their pushback is often the result of not knowing how to implement it in their classrooms. I have come to understand that principals and leaders play a pivotal role in developing people, their knowledge, and their roles as leaders. According to Edmonds and Macmillan, giving teachers knowledge, competency, and confidence in inclusive practices can shift attitudes, which in turn shifts classroom practices. This course has shown me the importance of professional development geared towards staff needs and in giving opportunities to staff to share in leadership roles. This in turn creates shared commitment and implementing of best practices for student success. As I worked through the content of this course, I have also come to realize that inclusion and leadership for inclusion is all about transformation. It is about transforming a culture of a school, school attitudes, classroom practices, and how people approach and work with each other to build the mosaic of inclusion within the school. Strong leadership is vital in placing the pieces and transforming the school mosaic from a single tile to a whole and complete picture. Through this transformation, inclusion becomes the center of the mosaic and is at the core of all decisions and ways of doing things. As stated in the quote above, these changes improve education and make teachers better equipped to meet the needs of all students. According to Edmonds and Macmillan, principals understand that no one single person is responsible for the care and supervision of included students. All staff are involved. Leaders realize that the complexity of the task requires more time and energy than they have individually. Each person is a tile in the inclusion mosaic and must be part of the transformation for real change to happen. This class has made me look closer at the tiles of inclusion within my own school. I am realizing that our tiles are scattered and we have a long way to go to transforming our school culture and attitudes to be inclusive. We are disjointed in embracing the core principles and values of inclusion, providing opportunity for all students to partake and participate fully in their education. And we enable exclusion in our classroom by still relying on the one-to-one and pull-out support model for many of our students. We also use dialogue that is often focused on deficits and behaviors of problematic and disruptive. Through this course, I realized we need a clearer vision for inclusion within our school and to ensure all staff are on board for the hard work ahead to make that vision come to life. This will require hard conversations and requests of a staff already stretched to the limit. This reality is also something I have struggled with as well. I have pondered the question of how we build these beautiful mosaics of multiple pieces in small rural schools where each person wears many hats and is more than one piece of the mosaic. I worry if we will have the capacity to dream, commit to, and work toward true inclusion. My school is not alone in this. There are many small rural schools struggling to meet the needs of all students without burning out and exhausting staff and leadership. Yet, despite some of my pessimism, this course has also provided me with some optimism and tools I feel we can use within my school. I would like to move forward by sharing Costa and Theo Harris's framework with my principal and staff to give us a pathway to open conversations about inclusion and to begin looking at how we as a school can better share the workload in a more balanced way while creating a vision and culture toward inclusion. This framework gives us the steps and tools to help us look at what pieces of the mosaic we have, recreate our design, and mold and shape our pieces to better fit an inclusion mosaic for our school. Their framework gives us room to add pieces to the whole, to celebrate and to adjust as we move along our journey to inclusion and success for all students in our school. The hands of a strong leader and leadership team will be needed to supportively, strategically, and creatively place the pieces of the inclusion mosaic and make the practices of inclusion seen as simply good teaching. Thank you.